paper.
I know it. I usually printed it, and I left it on my desk.
The problem that I have is...
I'm serious.
All right, so we're...
Okay.
All right, you know how to work. All right, so I'm looking at the agenda, or this is the actual memorandum for 11.
Right.
So if I'm on,
Go back up to the
looking
agenda.
at something back up for 9,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I want to get to the main agenda, well, shit, then I got to go way the hell
Yep, all the way to the
somewhere.
top, yeah. Well, and I'm having to go over here and get that button, make it bigger, and then make it bigger.
I guess I'll get used to it eventually.
It is good that you don't have to carry all that extra paper.
Yeah. And I like the fact that he just emails us and says, okay, there it is, it just magically appeared.
Because I need to print off this, that's what I need to do. Of course, if you print all this stuff over here,
Oh,
there'll be thousands of pages
yeah.
sometimes.
Fill in a
At
couple
least
trees.
hundreds.
Julie says she's gonna give me hers.
We'll buy you new ones.
Just doing this.
I'm not waiting.
We'll buy you new ones now.
Julie says she's gonna give me hers. I just need one, and I don't need this.
You need a stamp.
Oh, that's what I need.
But if you're ready, I'm part of it.
Just the stamp?
That's what I've asked for.
I don't know who you asked.
It is 7 o'clock. We do have a quorum. We'll call the city council meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the invocation given by Councilman Ferguson, and then both the pledge of American Texas flag led by Councilman Durham.
Ask you to all please rise for a moment in silent prayer. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
2 sentences now.
Did they put it in?
No, they didn't. I just wrote myself a note for a reminder. Yeah. I guess if I'm forced to do it this way, I will eventually get it. If I just have to keep reading it, I'll never learn it.
Thank you.
Transportation, they do it every time.
Without,
No, they have.
Next item on the agenda is the Visitor Citizen Forum. At this time, any person with business before the council not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the council. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. We do have a card filled out, Ms. Joanne Brooks.
I knew I remember
What we
that.
gotta do somewhere. Cat in the hat.
I can see that you've got quite a mind for your age. Why, one thinking you dragged me right onto the stage. With a cat such as me and a thinker like you. Oh, the things you can think. Oh, the things you can think if you're willing to try. Think invisible ink or a gink with the stink or a stare to the sky. If you open your mind, oh, the things you will find lining up to get loose. Oh, the things you can think when you think about Seuss. Seuss. Seuss.
We understand that you have a very busy meeting tonight, so we wanted to cut that short. This is the cast of Seussical the Musical for the Actors Conservatory Theater. This is our 14th annual Children's Summer Musical for the City of Lewisville, and we wanted to come down here and celebrate with you this momentous occasion. These kids age from 4 to, how old are you? 24. All right, and these are our youth and our future leaders of Louisville.
We certainly want to thank you and all of your cast member here, all of you so much for what you do for our community and helping bring arts to the community and so that people can learn to enjoy the wonderful aspects of arts. And we thank you so much, and thank you to all the family members who are here that allow them to participate in these events.
Suzigal will be playing at our Brenda and R.L. Crawford Center for the Arts, 1720 South Edmonds Lane in Louisville. It's a 155-seat theater, and it will be opening on July 12th, and it'll conclude on July 21st with shows Friday and Saturday night at 7 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday matinees at 2. And the entire town, including all of our city council people, are invited. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. And again, thank all of you for being here. Oh, there you go. That's where I was going to sing. Once again, we thank you. It's great to see the youth involved in the community like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. God bless you.
God bless y'all. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests. For a citizen to request removal of an item, a speaker card must be filled out and submitted to the city secretary. Did not have any cards filled out, and no one asked to be removed. Councilman Ferguson.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Ferguson to approve consent agenda, a second by Councilman Tierney. In discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is consideration of a variance to the variance to the Louisville City Code Section 6-123 multifamily and non-residential landscaping requirements for the proposed CVS pharmacy located at Lot 4, Block B of the NEC 1171 and Valley Parkway Edition, Phase 1, as requested by Michael Doggett of Winkleman and Associates, Inc., on behalf of the owner. The subject site is a 1.364-acre lot zoned general business located at the northeast corner of Main Street and Valley Parkway. CVS Pharmacy plans to demolish the existing Chevron gas station and construct a new building. In lieu of providing the required landscape strip, the property owner is proposing to install a 2-foot wide landscape buffer containing shrubs and crepe myrtle trees along Valley Parkway and increase landscaping along Main Street and donate $5,000 to the City of Louisville Tree Mitigation Fund. On this, I do have a card here filled out Mr. Chase Helm. Did you want to speak, sir? Yes. You want to come forward, please? If you will give your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Yes. My name is Chase Helm. I'm with Winkleman Associates, 6750 Hillcrest Plaza Drive, Dallas, Texas. I'm here on behalf of CVS Pharmacy and the owners of the property, and basically what we're looking to do is just get the landscape variance in on Valley Parkway, and in process we'll be adding more landscape on Main and also putting 5,000 tree mitigation. And after working with the staff repeatedly trying to figure out what the best option was, this is what we came up as the best option to make this site work.
Was that all you had?
Yes.
Okay. I've got some questions and some issues I'd like to bring up to you and see. I don't think you'd have any problems with it. I understand the parking spaces under our ordinance for that size building is 67, I believe. Isn't that correct? Say is 67 parking spaces. However, I'm sure if you do much work with CVS, you know that I don't know of any of their facilities in North Texas area that I've seen have 67 cars in the parking lot at one time. In fact, most of them have 10 to 15 cars at a maximum at a time. Usually it's anywhere from 3 to 10 cars at a time in the parking lot. So it seems like our ordinance is causing you to, in my thought, basically have to try to overpark that facility, but it's based on the square footage. My thought is I'd much rather see you not have to cut back on the landscape to only a 2-foot wide landscape on Valley Parkway, and then you wouldn't have to do the parking space. I know you lose those parking spaces over there, but you could do a variance on the parking space and get a variance to where you don't be down to, I think, 50 or 52 parking spaces, which would still leave you, I think it's 50, I think you lose 14 parking spaces if you go ahead and put in that 10-foot strip of landscaping that's required on there. And then that would be consistent pretty much with the other landscape that there is on Valley, and we're trying to clean up there and make it look much nicer and everything. And I don't think it would hurt y'all any. You're not going to have to do as much parking, like I said. So you'd just be doing the landscaping. So what we're kind of wondering if you'd have any problems with us tabling this item, and then you'd have to come back with another item basically to say that you'd be requesting, and staff would work with you on this also, but be requesting to have a variance to the parking in lieu of a variance to the landscaping, and then go ahead and put in additional landscape right there. Because what's there right now is over 10 feet on both sides, Main and Valley. And we'd kind of like to try to keep that looking very nice right in there, and I don't think we need that many parking spaces. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Well, we were okay with tabling and rediscussing with staff and figuring out what the best option is to make this work.
Great, thank you. And we're not going to ask you to do another variance fee or anything. We'll work that out so that you can just continue that on. Okay, sir?
That sounds good.
Thank you so much for your help. I sure appreciate you working with us on that, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Mayor,
you. Yes, sir.
could I ask one question
Yes, sir.
while he's up there?
I'm sorry, sir.
Do you happen to know what, for this size store, what CVS requires for parking, what they would want to have?
Usually they'd like to keep it above 60.
Above 50?
Above 60.
Above 60?
Yes, pretty much any store they build nowadays, they want to keep it above 60.
Okay.
You know what the reason for that is?
They've done plenty of studies, I'm sure, but that's just what they've come up with.
Because I've never seen that many cars parked at one of their pharmacies.
It's layers of room there that they could work with.
Right.
And I think that's your intent.
Right.
To get a little bit more landscaping out there.
Right.
And if they would still want to get to the 60,
Right.
I think we could work with something on
Right.
that.
Well, and like we talked about in the workshop session, we have plenty of shared parking in that center, so I don't think parking is going to be a problem at all.
Right. So, yeah, if you don't mind us tabling this tonight, that's kind of what I think I would like to recommend, and then we'll have staff get with you and coming back with another item, and we'll do it for the next meeting. Table the next meeting, and if you can't get it in time, your other item in time for the next meeting, we'll just postpone it till you can get it ready.
Okay, that
That'd
sounds
be
good.
all right? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, Mr. Durham,
I make a motion to table this till the next meeting.
have a motion by Councilman Durham to table to the next meeting.
Second.
A second by Councilman Tierney. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And thank you very much again, sir, for working with us. Appreciate it. Item 4 is consideration of 4 variances to the Louisville City Code Section 6-148, screening devices for outside storage, Section 6-103, access management policy, and Section 6-181, exterior finish requirements for proposed recreational vehicle storage facility and office building on Lot 10R, Block A of the Riverview Industrial Park Edition as requested by Robert Schoenenberg on behalf of the property owner. The subject site is a 1.029 acre lot located south of Stonewall Drive and west of Huffines Boulevard with the Riverview Industrial Park. The property is zoned warehouse with deed restrictions limiting uses to commercial warehouse and outside storage of vehicles. The applicant is proposing to construct a new facility that is not in compliance with provisions of the General Development Ordinance. Recommendation is that council deny the requested variances as set forth in the caption above. I do have a card filled out by First Hall is a Danny, and I probably, is it Scrine or Serene? You want to come forward, please, sir?
I've worked in this area for a long time, and I worked there for 3 years when I was at Nortex, and I've seen the buildings that are out there, and this would be, you know, an asset for that area. There's just nothing that's been developed in there for a long time, and it's right next to the dump. So getting something on that property would be a big improvement for out there. So I'm in support of anything that's built there. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Could you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Dan Serene. I live at 5316 KN in Denton, Texas.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. James Attrell. And once again, if you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Yeah, Mayor, my name's Jim Attrell. I live at 50 Remington Terrace in Highland Village, Texas, and my presentation is hopefully going to play on that video screen up there for you. Hi, my name is Jim Attrell. I'm president of Marduk LLC based in Lewisville, Texas. We're a property leasing and investment company. We have 9 pieces of property in Lewisville, including this piece of property on Stonewall. The city staff recommended that we apply for a rezoning of the property to heavy industrial, which made sense to us. The property across the street is also zoned heavy industrial. And we went through that process and were somewhat taken by surprise at the hearing when the staff decided that they were not going to support something that they had originally recommended. So we were disappointed, and they asked us to reapply warehouse zoning, and we went through that process, and that eventually was approved. Now, after the zoning to warehouse was approved, we then found out that there was a number of things that were going to drive up the cost of our construction, and we had a number of challenges here with the property to overcome. And so again, we were somewhat taken back by surprise, and we're in front of you today to see if we can get those things resolved. The development challenges on the property is that there's a pretty significant drop from the eastern side of the property down here to the western side of the property. So we can't, in effect, build anything near this drainage ditch. Pretty much everything has to be built on the upper part of the property. Another challenge with the development of the property is that this radio tower that's on the southernmost part of the property has caused the developer to take out a U-shaped area out of this piece of property. So there's the one corner boundary, and there's the frontage boundary, and as you can see, on the eastern side, there's not much there, but I'm standing in the middle where the property line is after you take the U-shaped part of the property out, and this is as deep as it gets. So if there's 20 feet taken out of the frontage, that's about 20 to 25% of the property that's also useless to it. One of the unique things about this property, and one that we're most proud of, is that there's a tree on this property that's one of the oldest living pecan trees in Texas. My arborist says that it was born in about 1850, so that makes it about 160 years of age. And it's very healthy, and we've been doing a lot to keep it into the design of the property, and it will become the centerpiece. Okay, I'm standing on the eastern border of the property. You can see that our neighbor here has a little building stored behind this chain link fence. Okay, I'm standing now at the southeast part of the Marduk property, and here you can see our neighboring building to the southeast of the property. Okay. Okay, I'm now standing on the property that's immediately south to the Marluke property. This is, of course, is where the radio tower is located. Here's the radio tower from the other side. All right, I'm now on the western boundary of the property, and here again you can see just how long and narrow this property really is. It doesn't leave a whole lot of room for frontage and for development. This is our neighbor to the west. It's an outside storage place, which is what most of the industrial park out here is used for. Our neighbor on the west side of our property has that same problem with radio towers taking a big U-shaped chunk out of the back of their property. Okay, here's the property to the west of us. You can see the chain link fence, the drainage ditch. There's our tree, and there's our neighbor to the southeast. Okay, this is our neighbor to the north and west of us. And this is our neighbor directly across the street from us at 1609 Stonewall. And there you can see our big old tree. Okay, so this is the metal building that's directly across the street from us at 1609 Stonewall. Our intent is to make the exterior of our metal building look pretty much exactly like what you see here. And they store stuff back there, as does the neighbor who's south and east of us. This is the neighbor that's located directly south of the radio towers. So our view south of the radio towers is of the Camelot landfill and dump, and of course that's in the process of getting expanded upon. So we're just going to have a bigger pile of trash laying in the hills behind us one day. This is our neighbor that's located north and east of our property, right across the street. It's used for outside storage, for manufacturing, and other heavy industrial uses. So, just to give you an idea what the rest of the Riverview Industrial Park looks like, I've taken some pictures and some video of the rest of the park, and here you go. What we propose to do at Marluke is to develop this property into something that'll be very pleasant to look at, with good landscaping. It'll look pretty much like the building across the street, a big improvement over the other buildings that surround the property, and used as outside storage with a metal building and a chain link fence, just like everything else that's around here. So we will bring property taxes and employment to the city, and I hope that you'll vote in a favorable manner towards our development. Thanks for your time.
Okay, Mr. King, did you have some things you want to address?
Well, Mayor, the only thing I wanted to point out to the council is that the question marks about previous zoning cases, I don't know that they're all that material to this particular request, because this is a variance from the general development ordinance. And these rules were the same ones that were in place in 2011 when the zoning was changed, so I'll leave it at that. Other than to say perhaps that the purpose for rezoning it from light industrial was to open up some uses that were not allowed under light industrial. Under light industrial, storage could not be done to this extent, and so from the staff's perspective, storage comes with screening wall requirements, as an example. So that's why we're making the recommendation that we're making.
Okay. And the recommendation is not to, you're not recommending denying the facility in any way, shape, or form?
No.
It's just that they adhere, you're recommending denying variances to the general development order and then just asking them to comply to the general development
Correct.
ordinance. And on this, it's just to let you know that we certainly want you, we'd love for you to do the business out there and do this and that, but just as other cities where you've been on council and everything, they ask you to follow a general development ordinance, and that's there for a reason. And the reason is that as the city tries to redevelop itself, it's an older city, and some of that area out there, as you showed, is not some of the best looking parts of the city. And we are trying to redevelop that and make that a much nicer, more attractive thing, so we'll have other businesses come out there and develop in those areas and replace some of that stuff that was actually on that video. So that's kind of what our request, that's what our decision was.
Yeah, Mayor, I certainly understand that. I own 3 of those properties out in that industrial park when I was at Nortex, and they're beautiful facilities, and they're made quite nice with landscaping. This is the last remaining piece of property that backs up to the dump, and all I want to do is to hide the dump from the rest of the park and put in a development there that's going to be very pleasant to look at. I cannot afford the additional cost.
Okay.
There's no return on the additional cost that I would have to spend to make it a brick building, and plus, it's probably going to end up being a display yard, not a storage yard.
Okay. All right. Well, for what you applied for, that's our reasoning on it. Okay.
And
Or at least my reasoning on it.
The display versus storage issue has been something of a problem for us in the past. The extent to which something is considered display and when it turns into storage is a bit of a fuzzy area. And I would make the argument that in several locations that Jim's operating right now, he really has storage, not display. Some of those units might be display, but a lot of them are sitting there and they're just basically stored there. So.
Okay. All right. Councilman Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with the staff's memo that was written to us in the agenda, which stated that we do want to continue to improve the city and take areas that need improvement. I think this is definitely one of them, and we have to start somewhere. I do believe some of these variances that we're looking at, I am okay with. And let me say real quick, one thing that bothered me in the workshop and that has bothered me again in this meeting is that I've heard a couple different things, which is it was recommended in the video also. It was recommended that the staff had recommended to go from light industrial to heavy industrial, and then denied, and then it was recommended to go to warehouse. Now, having said that, regardless, it was taken to warehouse, and as it was brought up in the development meeting, the standards for warehouse were there in place at the time that this property went in. So those standards have been maintained throughout. And Mayor, if I can, just address each one of these 4 variances and let you know where I stand on them. I'm okay with the variance. The traffic out there is stated in one of the memos, is very light. I'm okay with from a 40 feet to a 20-foot reduction in the stacking going towards that intersection on the eastern property. I'm okay with not doing a solid fence on the southern and western property. I think that's the chain link fence I'm okay with. We will have no other development going where the radio towers are, where the dump is, and I think that's it's excessive to have the applicant go through the additional expenses to put the solid fence in there. So I'm okay with the chain link on that. As far as the fencing goes, I think that is variance 1. On the northern part of the property, the applicant is asking for a chain link fence instead of the masonry wall. What I would, and with the living shrub, and I think we saw in some of the videos, some of the video footage that Jim had showed us, some of the neighboring properties have a chain link fence. some of it with razor wire on top, and it had some greenery on it. I'm okay without doing the masonry wall on the front northern part of the property. I think what I would much rather see as opposed to chain link, and somewhere out there I had seen this recently, and it usually works quite well, is a wrought iron type of fencing with the same living shrubs, with the same landscaping. So I would be okay with that in lieu of the masonry wall. As far as the variance request for number 4, I am opposed to the variance in that, and this isn't an 80% brick like it is on many of our higher thoroughways in Lewisville. This is just the 80% masonry veneer. So I would be opposed to number 4 with the building, and I think the other ones are okay, but I think with the masonry and staying away from the metal warehouse building would be an upgrade that we can move forward in that particular area.
Thank you, sir. And I did forget to read another card that was handed to me. John Garena does not wish to speak, but he is in support of the item as presented. Okay, Councilman Ferguson.
Most of what Councilman Tierney said I agree with. The one item where I probably don't agree, so most of it, yes. The one item where I do have some grief is if we go with the wrought iron, chain link, whatever, and we're relying on some kind of living, planting to take care of the screening. I'm just not convinced that'll be alive in 5 years. It takes a lot of maintenance. It's not good soil out there. It takes a lot of maintenance and a lot of water, which is water is something we're trying to tell people to stop using as much of, to try and keep anything, much less establish it in the first place. So I just, at that point, you'd have an easier time trying to convince me just to put in the fence and forget the shrub than tell me that, well, but it's going to have the shrub. Well, my reaction is, yeah, so what? Look, come back 5 years, tell me what it looks like, because I think it'll look dead, or it'll look like some of the stuff we saw out there. So from that perspective, I have problems with that, then doing that with the fence, okay? Everything else, you and I were on the same wavelength until that one item.
I have a question in regards to that for staff. We've done this before, that we require certain types of landscaping as live screenery. Do we follow through with that in the future and maintain it?
It's made part of the site plan, and if the living portion of the wall dies, then we have the ability through code enforcement to enforce the terms of the site plan. Of course, that's an enforcement process and laborious and time-consuming and not always immediately successful.
No further comment?
I would point out, though, that it would be the same thing for a masonry wall. If the masonry wall fell down, we'd be in the same process.
Right.
Okay. I don't have a problem with all the way going down to the veneer on the 80% brick, or stone, whatever the wording says. And the living deal, I think it's going to be a problem either way, but there is a way to enforce it, just like we would have any of the other part. And I do understand their costs they're looking at in there. I would like to see the 80% veneer in this one, not do away with it, but possibly go down to a 50% veneer, and that way they could put, I would call the front part of the property and some of the sides as the what do they call them?
Masonry.
Aggregate total on elevations of 50% instead of 80%. That way they would have some flexibility. Their costs would be taken down. It is still a warehouse next to all the other uses that have been set out there. It would improve the property compared to the neighbors, and so I think we could get where we want to be and help the property owner upgrade the area. So,
I wouldn't have a problem with that either.
and if that's okay, I'd put that in the form of a motion if somebody can figure that out.
That's what I was just asking Mr. King.
Do you want to take it one by one?
Probably better, yeah.
Why don't you go, Greg?
All right. So number 1 was the variance request for the 8-foot 6-foot chain link fence with living shrub screenery in lieu of masonry wall. I move to approve the variance.
Have a motion by Councilman Tierney,
Second.
a second by Councilman
Oh,
Durham.
wait.
I was going to say, that's the one.
Wait.
That's the one on the,
Yeah, that's the one that I wanted the stipulation of doing the wrought iron fencing with the live,
So are you withdrawing that motion?
it wasn't seconded yet.
That was-
Yeah,
Yes, I'm withdrawing that. And you wanted me to say this. Yes, I'm withdrawing that motion. I'm going to reword it, and I want to adjust it and say that I want the wrought iron instead of the chain link with the live screenery.
Second.
Got that, Steph? Got that? We have a motion by Councilman Tierney, a second by Councilman Durham. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
nay.
Motion carries 2-1.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Okay, Mayor, on this.
Hold on.
Oops, sorry.
the charter requires 3 affirmative votes, so it fails.
It requires 3 affirmative votes for that fail. How about we do this? Because I don't think you're going to get any of these 3 votes.
I think we will.
Well, we might, but some of it, well, that you just didn't. What if we had staff, if you give staff the direction to what you're wanting to do, have staff get together with the property owner, table this to the next meeting, and come back with a new set of stipulations for the variances? Would that work with you, Jim? Would that, in that way, everything gets worded correctly, you're not going back and forth and this, that, would that be all right?
Perfect.
Or
Sounds good. Move the table till the next meeting.
is that all right with you, Jim? Do you have a problem with that? And that way they can kind of work with you and try to get something set in place that'll work both ways.
Second?
Okay. Had a motion to table to, and that'll work, Counselor? Right. Have a motion to table to the next meeting by Councilman Tierney, a second by Councilman Ferguson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, does staff have the direction that they need to get this placed?
I think we have a feel for what you're looking for, and so we'll hopefully get that.
Okay. And Jim, they'll get in touch with you, okay, sir? Thank you. James, I'm sorry. Always call him Jim. All right. Item 5, consideration of 3 variances to Louisville City Code, Section 6-164, location of parking spaces, 6-144, screening wall between commercial and residential uses, and Section 6-98, fire protection for the proposed Winco food store located in the old Orchard Village East Shopping Center at 1288 West Main Street, as requested by Nathan Combs, the project manager, on behalf of Winco Foods. Winco Foods is proposing to demolish approximately 97,598 square feet of retail space and construct a new 83,690 square foot grocery store within the old Orchard Village East Shopping Center, as the building will be located on existing site. Variances are needed to accomplish redevelopment of the property. The following variances are requested. 1 is to allow for more than 50% of the required parking spaces to be provided through a shared parking agreement. 2, allow for the placement of a public water easement under pavement. And 3, allow for a 6-foot-high cedar fence with metal posts in lieu of the required masonry screening wall. Recommendation that council approve the variances as set forth in the caption above. And I do have 2 cards here filled out. David McNeil, who would like to speak, he is in support of this. Mr. McNeil?
Well, I can answer questions.
Oh, you're just here to answer questions. Okay, I'm sorry, it was check to speak.
Take a shot at it. We'll wait for questions.
Just wait, answer any questions if okay, he's here to answer questions. And Don Woodbury, are you also here to answer questions, or do you want to speak? Yes, I am. Okay, sir. Both of these gentlemen are here for this item if you have any questions of them. In council, in workshop, I had mentioned about doing this contingent on this being as the Winco itself. After visiting with staff, I don't necessarily have the concern with that, but that was my thought was, and I don't know if Winco would have had a problem with it.
I can speak to that issue
Okay.
very clearly, I think.
Okay.
My name is David McNeil. I live at 4204 Bryn Mawr Drive, Dallas, Texas. I represent
the landlord, the shopping center around it.
Right.
And when we made the lease with Winco, we had the very same exact concern.
Oh.
What happens if it's not a Winco someday? Winco's an employee-owned company, and the real estate people and their CFO are charged with deploying their capital, and they said, it's a deal killer. We cannot spend $16 million here and not have a reasonable opportunity to sublease it to someone else. They're doing a 25-year lease with us, making a huge commitment to it. We see them as a long-term player. We see them as somebody who can basically compete in the grocery wars here in Texas and in Dallas particularly, and hold their own. So we were happy to have them come into the center and replace basically what was Walmart and Kroger originally, was then Hobby Lobby and some other stores. But I think they can do well, again, in this competitive market. They'll be there a long time, but they have to have the ability. I tried to keep it exactly what you said. I wanted it to be a grocery store, and then we just kept going, and they kept educating me as how they had to have it.
Okay.
So
And I kinda-
fought that war and lost it already.
And I had that same session with staff, so I'm okay with it.
Thank you, and I'm here to
Thank you, sir.
answer anything else about the shopping center.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, Mr. Durham, I'll start with you on this one.
If there's nothing else, I move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilman Durham, and a second by Councilman Ferguson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we want to thank you as the developer of the property, and we want to also pass on our well wishes to Winco and thank them for choosing to come to Louisville, and we thank you for choosing to upgrade your shopping center there. That's what we're trying to do with a lot of the shopping centers in town, and it looks like it's coming to fruition, and we appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Item 6, consideration of an ordinance amending the Louisville City Code, Section 15-35, maximum speed limits on specific streets, establishing a consistent speed limit on Corporate Drive from the west city limit to Railroad Street to 35 miles per hour. Corporate Drive has been extended from Waters Ridge to the Railroad Street. Staff completed a speedy study on the new section with the result of 37 miles per hour for the 85th percentile speed. Staff recommends the speed be posted at 35 miles per hour, consistent with the existing speed limit on the rest of Corporate Drive. Staff also recommends that the speed limit be set on Corporate Drive as a single entry, eliminating redundant entries within the Code of Ordinances. The Transportation Board considered this item during the May 21st, 2013 meeting and voted 4-0 to recommend establishing the maximum speed limit as indicated above. Recommendation is that council approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Ferguson.
A move to approve.
Have a motion to approve by
Second.
Councilman Ferguson, a second by Councilman Tierney. Discussion? All in favor?
Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor.
this is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Louisville, Texas, amending Chapter 15, Section 15-35 of the Louisville City Code by establishing a consistent speed limit on Corporate Drive, providing a repealer, providing for severability, providing a penalty, providing an effective date, and declaring an emergency.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Councilor. Consideration of an ordinance amending Louisville City Code, Section 15-87, limitations on turning around, prohibiting northbound and southbound U-turns at Josie Lane and Windhaven Parkway. A new traffic signal has been constructed at the intersection of Josie Lane and Windhaven Parkway. It serves the Castle Hills and Austin Ranch developments in East Louisville. The new signal provides right turn signal indications to improve the efficiency of the traffic flow and reduce the delay for vehicles turning onto Josie Lane from Windhaven Parkway. In order to ensure the safe operation of signal and eliminate the possibility of conflicting movements within the intersection, staff recommends the U-turns for the north and southbound traffic on Josie Lane be prohibited. The Transportation Board considered this item during the May 21st, 2013 meeting and voted 4-0 to recommend prohibiting U-turns as indicated above. Recommendation is that council approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Tierney.
I have no issues, Mayor. Move to approve.
Have a motion by Councilman Tierney to approve.
Second.
Second by Councilman Ferguson. Councilor.
This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Louisville, Texas, amending Chapter 15, Section 15-87C of the Louisville City Code by prohibiting U-turns at Josie Lane at Windhaven Parkway, providing a repealer, providing for severability, providing a penalty, providing an effective date, and declaring an emergency.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 is consideration of an ordinance amending the Louisville City Code, Section 15-126, stopping, standing, or parking prohibited in specific streets, prohibiting parking on the east side of Henrietta Street from Main Street to 180 feet south of Main Street. Staff received a request from a local resident to prohibit parking on Henrietta Street south of Main Street. In response, staff surveyed the location and determined that a hazard does exist to vehicles trying to enter and exit Henrietta Street simultaneously when vehicles are parked on both sides of the roadway. Staff placed flyers on doors within Main Street Village and at the property immediately adjacent to and east of Henrietta Street to request local residents' input and discovered positive support in all responses received. Staff recommends that parking be prohibited on the east side of Henrietta, south of Main Street, for a distance of 180 feet. The Transportation Board considered this item during the May 21, 2013 meeting and voted 3-1, recommended prohibited parking as indicated above. Recommendation is the council approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Durham.
Mayor, when this first came up, I thought this was going to be to prohibit on both sides of the street, which I would have been opposed to. But since it's just on the east side, I am in favor of it. And with that, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilman Durham, a second by Councilman Tierney. Councilor.
This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lewisville, Texas, amending Chapter 15, Section 15-126 of the Lewisville City Code by prohibiting parking on Henrietta Street, providing a repealer, providing for severability, providing a penalty, providing an effective date, and declaring an emergency.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9 is consideration of a public parking spaces agreement for Northview Baptist Church located at 2021 North Mill Street as requested by Senior Pastor Kenneth Wells and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement. Northview Baptist Church is requesting permission through the use of a public parking spaces agreement to construct 86 public parking spaces along portions of North Mill Street and along a small portion of Hedgerow Lane. Proposed parking spaces will be reconfigured as 90-degree head-in spaces and would be constructed utilizing 6-inch concrete. The location of the proposed spaces fall within the parkway proportion of the city right-of-way for each street. The church would be responsible for the actual construction, associated cost, and perpetual maintenance associated with these particular parking spaces. The recommendation is that council approve the agreement as set forth in the above caption. And I do want to say on this that we appreciate council and staff in Northview getting together and working on this. I think it'll be a good addition to the church and to the city. We appreciate y'all getting together and work this out, and I think it'll be a good thing for the city on their overall, especially since it's not costing the city anything. The church is stepping forward and willing to step forward and come up with all the costs and know that it could possibly change in the future, but they're willing to take that risk on. So we appreciate that. I do have 2 cards here. I'm not sure if you want to speak, but if you do, I have one from Bill Ridinger. Did you want to speak? Answer questions? Okay. And then one from Pastor Ken Wells. Pastor, do you want to speak?
Kenneth Wells, 433 Frankie Lane, Louisville, Texas. First of all, I want to say thanks to our staff who really have worked with us on this agreement. Get a lot of insight working. This is my group of men and ladies that are committees. All churches have those committees. And we as a church has been in Louisville since 1964. We've been in our same location. We've grown, expanded. The city was very gracious in helping us. We built a new sanctuary a few years ago and had to jump through a few hoops. And we got there, and we've had good growth. And so now we just need some parking. And for us to be able to park along the side of the road there, and for us to pay for it. So if you approve it, Mayor, we'd like for you to go ahead and send a donation our way. That would help us with that. But we understand the cost and liabilities and all that's involved. But we realize that not only for our church, but actually for the community, for the Lake Park area. We want to see it developed in time to come, as the rest of our community. And we're invested, obviously, here. The church has been here since 1964. I've been here all of my life and been the pastor of Northview almost 33 years. So we're here to stay and try to make the best we can of our community. And we've been good neighbors to the folks around us, try to do our best with them and be a blessing and encouragement in all the way. So your approval would go a long way, and we appreciate it so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. We appreciate what your church congregation
Kenneth,
does.
hold on just a second.
Hold on.
I got to ask you, how are you doing? Are you
This is
doing
not on the
rehab?
record. I am doing better, thank you. I had an accident a year ago, fell and broke my leg and my wrist, and now my third surgery with a knee done. I'm doing much better, still pretty painful, but I'm better and hadn't slowed up much, a little bit.
Okay,
But
good.
yes, sir. But thank you for your concern.
Sure. I wanted to tell the church folks that Kenneth saw me maybe the night before, the 2 days before you were going in this last time. And all he wanted to do was talk about this one, so we get this done. I had to get this parking done, so. He was working when he was going under, so.
This is another one of those instances where having parking problems is a good thing. That means you got a lot of people come to the church, so it's a good thing. With that, Councilman Ferguson.
Well, I see this as a win-win, so I move to approve.
Second?
Have a motion to approve by Councilman Ferguson, a second by Councilman Tierney. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all again. Thank you. Item 10 is consideration of the addition of a beer tasting activity to the 2013 Western Days Festival. At this June 17th meeting, City Council tabled a proposal to add a beer tasting activity to the Western Days Festival included for September 28, 29, 2013. After further discussion with the beer concessionaire for the festival, a new proposal has been developed that eliminates nearly all expenses for the city and minimizes, to the extent possible, the risk assumed by the vendor. The new proposal would add a beer tasting event focused on Texas craft beers, but would not establish the tasting area as a separate ticketed event. Instead, patrons could purchase sample-sized servings of the available craft beers in an area marked and marketed as a beer tasting. Sales would be handled by the vendor in the same manner as all other beer sales at the festival, and the city will receive the same 30% commission on tasting sales as is done for other festival beer sales. Recommendation is council consider the addition of the beer tasting activity 2013 Western Days Festival. Councilman Tierney.
Thank you, Mayor. We had quite a bit of discussion about this at the last meeting. I'm very much in favor of this type of event for Western Days. I think it's a good addition to what we're trying to do there. I don't think this is exactly where we want to end up, but I think this is a good stepping stone. And I think if this goes well this year, I think we have plenty of time to get closer to where we need to be in the future. So having said that, I will make a motion to approve.
Have a motion approved by Councilman Tierney.
Second.
Second by Councilman Ferguson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11 is discussion and consideration of appointments to various city boards, commission, and committees. On June 30th, various terms of office of the city boards, commissions, and committees expired. Those positions were identified and current appointees notified. City Council completed the vacancies and some of the reappointed positions at its June 17, 2013 meeting, and if so desired, will need to reappoint the remaining board members requesting reappointment. Councilman Ferguson.
Yes, sir. I move to reappoint the members requesting reappointment to the following boards: Animal Services Advisory Committee, Arts Advisory Board, CDBG Advisory Committee, Lewisville Housing Finance Corporation, Lewisville Industrial Development Corporation, TERS Number 1 Board of Directors, and TERS Number 2 Board of Directors.
Second?
Have a motion by Councilman Ferguson, a second by Councilman Durham. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to reports. Nico. Bob. Chief. Linda. Chief? Everything going good. Carol? Hey, I saw the other day the lake's a little under 5 foot low now. Of course, that was yesterday.
Well, we're losing about 2/10 of an inch each day, so.
Well, good.
hot
That must
and
be
humid.
the water restrictions.
We hope that has the opposite
It's-
effect.
It could be. What
Those
if
did
this morning-
change today, by the way.
Thank you. Donna? Brenda? Mr. Ferris? Mr. Backus? Councilman Durham?
Nothing, Mayor.
Councilman Tierney?
No, sir.
Mr. King?
No, sir.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes, sir. Got a lot of stuff going on at the MCL Grand. Summer Music Series continues on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night, the Nolans Gumbo Kings, and then a week later, New Old West. So 7 p.m., it's free to anybody who wants to show up, bring a lawn chair. Texas Family Musicals is presenting Red Skelton's American Way on July 5th, which is Friday at 7:30 p.m. and July 6th, Saturday at 2:30, and again at 7:30 p.m. And then the Visual Arts League has just finished putting up their Fresh Ideas art exhibit. I actually haven't seen this one yet, but they've done it in past years, and it's always been pretty amazing stuff. So, and that'll be in the art gallery now through August 10th. And then finally, or maybe not finally, I got actually a couple of things here. Shrek the Musical, I think we heard something about that, running from the 8th through the 12th at the, what is it? Name of the Art Center, or whatever it is. Y'all know where I'm talking about. And then July the 4th, fireworks show starts at 9:30 p.m. on the southeast side of Vista Ridge Mall, and just find you a good place on a parking lot to view it. I'd add one other thing. Everybody try to have a safe 4th. Let's be aware, first of all, that the ground's very dry, so no fireworks in the city, and that's just common sense. And the second thing is we'd like to really try to see if we can make it through a 4th of July and have a completely safe boating and family outing weekend on the lake. So I know not everybody's a fan of a life jacket, but if everybody wore one, I think we could accomplish that goal. So I would encourage people to take that very seriously, and let's make this a very safe 4th of July. That's all I have, sir.
Counselor? Julie? Also, again, we thank you for being here. Appreciate what you do each day. Thank you, sir. Just want to remind everybody, across the street, you see the construction. That's our new Old Town Park Plaza that is coming to fruition and be finished here before we know it. I think it's probably late fall, something like that, maybe. Mr. King, what's that?
I'm
The
sorry.
park. Wake up.
Sorry.
Donna, would you have know when that park might be complete?
Oh, complete?
Yeah.
Oh, sometime next year, June-ish, I would say.
About a year from now.
Yeah.
About a year from now. So it's looking
Give
good.
myself a little room for error there.
Okay, it's going to be awesome when we see that. I think people will love that. Want to give thank you very much to staff that got out and put the signs out about the water restriction, which actually took into effect today. And we know it's going to take everybody a couple of days to get adjusted to that. But one suggestion I make, some people have been asking me why those hours and so on and so forth. From what I understand, not everyone has a sprinkler system. So if you make the hours in the middle of the night, it's hard for those that don't have sprinkler systems to water during the middle of the night. So you have to kind of adjust it so it works for everyone, those that have to water with water sprinklers and those that have sprinkler systems. And then two, some were saying that they haven't. And mine is a perfect example is the way I have mine set up now with I do have a sprinkler system, the way it's set up now, I can't get it done in the 4 hours deal, so because I have a little over half acre, and I talked with the arborist, he says, I recommend you splitting it up anyway. It works better if you do half in the morning and half in the evening of the same day. That way you're actually getting more water absorbed into the soil and having less runoff. So I think everybody will do that, do some in the morning and some in the evening also. I think it'll be better for your yards and everything. So we appreciate everybody. We are trying to conserve water, and we are trying to keep your water rates from having to expand or increase because of consumption of water, which we're about at our capacity now. And if we do much more, we're going to have to start buying more, which will cause everyone's water to go up. And once it goes up, it doesn't go back down. So, okay, with that, in accordance with Texas Government Code, Subchapter D, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney pending litigation, City of Lewisville versus City of Farmers Branch and Camelot Landfill, TXLP, calls number 412-CV-00782, United States District Court for the Eastern District of Texas, Sherman Division, and Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, application to obtain municipal solid waste permit, amendment permit number 1312B, and Section 551.072, real estate property acquisition, and Section 551.087, economic development regarding economic development negotiations will now convene into closed session. Willis? We'll convene back in regular session. Is any action to be taken?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Council Ferguson, second by Councilman Durham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.